All right, so let's just cut the crap and dive right into this Kobe and Gianna Bryant statue thing at
Right.
crypto.com arena. I mean, it's not just some random bronze dude, right? There's some pretty deep shit going on here, wouldn't you say?
It's heavy, man. Not just because it's literally like a ton of metal, but because of what it represents, you know? The Mamba and his Mambasita together forever. He kind of hits you right in the feels, especially how they went out.
Yeah, the helicopter crash. In fact, that was brutal.
Yeah.
But okay, before we get all emo and shit, can you give me the rundown on this statue? This is actually the second Kobe statue at the arena, right? And there's a third card one coming. Like, is this dude gonna have more statues than championships at this rate?
Well, 3 statues, 5 rings. It's a testament to the man's impact. This
Yeah.
particular one, the new one, it's Kobe and Gigi on a bench. He's got his arm around her.
Oh,
Yeah, and they both got angel wings. And there's this plaque with a quote about Kobe being a girl dad. You can tell that meant the world to him.
girl dad, huh? Guess that's one way to spin being a dad of 4 daughters.
Uh-huh.
But hey, it's a good message, right? He was all about empowering women and girls,
Yeah.
especially later in his career.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting shift, though, isn't it? I mean, from the fierce competitor, the Black Mamba, to this softer, more paternal figure.
Right.
Maybe it was just part of his natural evolution as a man. Who knows? Or maybe he saw it as a way to kind of, counterbalance some of the baggage from his past.
Baggage. You mean that whole sexual assault case from back in the day?
No, that.
Yeah, you can't really talk about Kobe without addressing that elephant in the room, can you?
It's always there, no matter how many statues they put up. It's a reminder that even our heroes or idols, they can be flawed, fucked up even. But I think it's important to look at the whole picture. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it.
Okay, fair enough. So, back to the statue itself. It was unveiled on August 2nd, 2024, 8/2/24. That's Kobe's numbers, 8 and 24, and
Yeah.
Gigi's number, 2. Someone was definitely putting in some overtime with that symbolism, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's deliberate, for sure. And the location is significant, too.
How so?
Well, it's right near the Los Angeles Kings Monument, which makes sense since Crypto.com Arena is their home turf, right?
Yeah.
But they're also putting the other Kobe statues nearby, so it's becoming like a whole Kobe shrine over there.
A Kobe corner. Sounds like a tourist trap waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But all right, tell me more about the artists behind this thing. I heard they're like the fucking Picassos of bronze statues or some shit.
Well, they're not slinging paint, but they're definitely heavy hitters in the world of sculpture, that's for sure. Karen Davis, the visual artist who designed it, she's got a real knack for capturing raw emotion in her
Okay.
work. In the fine art studio of Roplat Amrani, the guys who actually crafted it, they're known for their incredibly lifelike pieces. They've done a ton of public art, sports figures, historical icons, you name it.
So they know how to make bronze dudes look like, well, actual dudes.
Exactly.
But what about the emotional aspect of this statue? I mean, how'd they manage to capture that father-daughter bond? The grief, all that heavy shit.
You see it in the details, man. The way Kobe's arm is draped around Gigi, the tilt of their heads, the expressions on their faces, and those angel wings, man. It's beautiful, but it also just screams tragedy. You
Sure.
can't look at it without thinking about how their story ended.
Yeah, it's like a constant reminder that even legends aren't invincible. But speaking of legacies, this whole statue thing got me thinking, how is this going to shape Kobe's legacy? I mean, will people just focus on the basketball god, the Mamba mentality, all that, or will they remember the whole picture, the championships, the sexual assault case, the girl dad, the whole 9 yards?
It's a tough question. Time has a way of smoothing over the rough edges, you know what I mean? People tend to remember the highlights, the iconic moments, but the internet never forgets, right?
True.
So even if the statues focus on one side of Kobe, the other side's always just a Google search away.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's not dwell on the dark shit just yet. Tell me about the other statues. So, got Kobe and Gigi. What about the other two? What's the plan there?
So the first Kobe statue that went up a few months ago, it's pretty straightforward. It's just Kobe in his Lakers uniform holding a basketball. Classic, iconic.
Right.
But the third one, the one they're planning to unveil during the upcoming NBA season, they're keeping that one under wraps for now.
Really? So what, are they going to have him in a suit, like accepting an Oscar?
Yeah.
Or maybe coaching Gigi's youth basketball team or something?
I doubt it. My guess is it'll be another basketball-focused piece. Maybe him in his number 24 jersey, maybe doing one of his signature moves. They got to cater to the fans, right? The ones who remember him for his on-court dominance.
Yeah, fair enough. But still, 3 statues dedicated to the same dude, all in the same spot.
Yeah.
That's some serious hero worship, man. It's not like they're putting up statues of, like, Wilt Chamberlain or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar every other week.
It's a testament to his impact. Kobe transcended basketball. He was a global icon, a brand, a cultural phenomenon. People who didn't even follow basketball knew his name.
And his face. Dude was everywhere. Sneakers, commercials, video games, you name it. But hey, let's not forget about the actual basketball, right? 5 championships with the Lakers, 2 finals MVPs, 18 all-star selections. The list goes on and on. It's easy to get lost in all the hype, but this dude was an absolute beast on the court.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. He had that killer instinct, that Mamba mentality. Always pushing, striving for greatness, and his work ethic. Legendary, man. The stories about him practicing at 4 a.m., working harder than anyone else, those aren't just myths. He was obsessed with the game.
Obsessed, yeah. Maybe even a little crazy, right? But I guess that's what it takes to be the best.
Yeah.
Right? You got to be willing to sacrifice, push yourself to the limit. And Kobe, he definitely did that.
He did. It's what made him so captivating to watch, You just knew he was giving it his all every single game. There was a fire in him, an intensity that was almost frightening.
Okay, so we've covered the statues, the legacy, the whole basketball god stuff. But let's try to get back to the man behind the myth here. Who was Kobe Bryant, beyond all the highlights and headlines?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, we can analyze his stats, dissect his game, but getting inside his head, that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah, it's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Right.
But we got to try. Right?
Yeah.
So let's dig a little deeper into his story. Beyond the basketball court, let's talk about his childhood, his family, all the things that shaped him into the man he became.
Okay, sounds good. Where do you want to start?
Let's go all the way back to the beginning. The kid from Philly who dreamed of being a basketball star.
No.
How did he go from shooting hoops in his driveway to dominating the NBA?
Well, you got to remember, Kobe wasn't just some random kid from Philly. His dad, Jelly Bean Bryant, he was an NBA player himself.
Right.
So Kobe basically grew up around the game, even lived in Italy for a few years when his dad played overseas.
So basketball was in his blood. But did he always have that Mamba mentality, that drive to be the best? Or did that come later?
I think it was both, a combo of nature and nurture.
Okay.
He definitely got his dad's athleticism and love for the game, no doubt. But he also had this crazy competitive streak. Even as a kid, he hated losing, really hated it.
Sounds like my kind of dude.
Yeah.
But talent and a shitty attitude only get you so far, right?
Right.
What about the work ethic? When did that kick in?
I mean, from everything I've read, it was there from the beginning. He was always pushing himself, always trying to get better. In high school, he was already putting in extra hours working on his game while other kids were, chasing girls and getting into trouble.
Typical overachiever. But hey, it paid off, right? He skipped college, went straight to the NBA, got drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, but then traded to the Lakers. Destiny, I guess.
Yeah. It was a move that changed the course of NBA history, that's for sure. He lands in LA, joins forces with Shaq, and the rest, as they say, is history.
The Shaq and Kobe era. Man, those were some good times. 3 championships in a row, just dominating the league. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, was it? Maybe their egos clashed, there was all that drama. Eventually, they went their separate ways.
It was like watching a Hollywood marriage implode. In slow motion.
Yeah.
2 massive personalities, both used to being the alpha dog, bound to explode at some point. But hey, you got to give them credit. They put their differences aside when it mattered most and won championships.
Yeah, but let's be real. Kobe was the driving force behind those championships. Shaq was a beast, no doubt, but Kobe was the one with that relentless hunger, that desire to win no matter what.
Yeah, he elevated everyone around him. He demanded excellence, not just from himself, but from his teammates, too. And that rubbed some people the wrong way. He wasn't always the easiest guy to get along with. Let's put it that way.
He was kind of a dick, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But brilliant, talented dick.
Yeah.
And that's what made him so compelling. He was the villain you couldn't help but root for.
He had that it factor, man, that charisma that just drew you in. Even when he was being an asshole, you couldn't take your eyes off him.
Okay, so Shaq leaves. Kobe's got something to prove, right? He wants to show the world he can win without the big fella. And he does it. Back-to-back championships in 2009 and 2010. He cemented his legacy as one of the all-time greats.
No doubt. He proved he could carry a team on his shoulders, lead them to the promised land. He had that killer instinct, that Mamba mentality we keep talking about. It wasn't just about talent, it was about will. About outworking everyone else, about refusing to lose.
But even Kobe couldn't defy Father Time forever, right?
No.
Injuries started piling up, his game started to decline. but he still had that fire, that passion. Remember his last game? Dropping 60 points on the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
It was like he was saying, fuck you, I'm going out on my own terms.
It was a vintage Kobe performance, a reminder of his greatness, even in the twilight of his career, you know?
Yeah.
The perfect ending to a legendary story.
Yeah, except for the whole helicopter crash thing that kind of ruined the fairy tale ending. But hey, life's not a movie, right?
Right.
It doesn't always wrap up with a nice little bow.
Nope, it doesn't. His death was a shock, you know? A tragedy. It's still hard to believe he's gone. But his legacy, that's going to live on forever. The championships, the records, the Mamba mentality, it's all etched in basketball history.
And now we've got these statues, these monuments to his greatness. It's like they're trying to freeze him in time, capture the essence of who he was.
Yeah, they're a reminder of his impact, both on and off the court. The basketball god, the flawed human being, the girl dad, it's all there, you know?
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Okay, so we've covered Kobe's journey from Philly to NBA superstardom. The championships, the drama, the triumphs, the tragedies. But let's get back to this whole statue thing. So we got Kobe Gigi, we got Solo Kobe in his Lakers uniform. What about that third statue, the one they're keeping under wraps? Any theories?
Well, they've already got the basketball icon covered and the devoted father. So maybe this third statue will focus on another aspect of his life.
Like what?
His philanthropy, or maybe his work in entertainment. He did win an Oscar, after all.
An Oscar. For what?
For his animated short film, Dear Basketball. It was based on a poem he wrote when he announced his retirement. Pretty impressive for a guy who was supposed to be just a basketball player.
Huh. So maybe the third statue will be Kobe holding an Oscar, looking all artsy-fartsy. Or maybe they'll go full Hollywood and have him on the red carpet with a bunch of screaming fans.
I doubt it. It's more likely they'll stick with a basketball theme. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us.
Yeah, maybe they'll have him in a business suit, signing some billion-dollar endorsement deal. Or maybe he'll be coaching Gigi's basketball team.
Yeah.
You know, passing on that Mamba mentality to the next generation.
I like that. It would be a fitting tribute to his legacy.
All right, so we got 3 statues, each representing a different facet of Kobe Bryant's life. The basketball god, the devoted father, and, well, we'll have to wait and see what that third one reveals.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be a spectacle.
Oh, yeah. It's Kobe, after all. Everything he did was larger than life.
Okay, so we've dissected Kobe's career, analyzed his impact, debated the symbolism of these statues. But let's get back to the man behind the myth. What was he like off the court, you know?
That's where things get a little more complicated.
Complicated? You mean the sexual assault case?
That's part of it. But there's more to it than that. He was a complex dude. Driven, ambitious, but also private, guarded.
He always seemed to have this wall up, you know, this persona he projected to the world. The Black Mamba, the cold-blooded killer on the court. But behind that facade, who was the real Kobe Bryant? Was he a good guy? A bad guy? Somewhere in between.
I don't think there's an easy answer to that. He was a product of his environment, you know?
Yeah.
His upbringing, his experiences, he had his demons, he made mistakes, but he also had moments of greatness, of generosity, of genuine human connection.
So how do we reconcile those conflicting sides of his personality? How do we make sense of his legacy?
I think it's about acknowledging the complexity, the contradictions. It wasn't perfect, but he was undeniably human. And that's what makes his story so compelling, so tragic, so ultimately unforgettable.
All right, so we've got the basketball legend, the devoted father, the complex human being. But there's one more piece of this puzzle we need to explore. The cultural icon. Kobe Bryant wasn't just a basketball player, he was a global phenomenon.
He transcended the sport. He was a brand, a symbol, a cultural force. His influence went way beyond the basketball court.
Yeah, the dude was everywhere. Sneakers, commercials, video games, even Hollywood. He had that it factor, you know, that charisma that just drew people in.
He was marketable, that's for sure. But it was more than just good looks and a winning smile. He represented something bigger than himself. He embodied hard work, dedication, the pursuit of excellence.
The Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a slogan, it was a way of life. And people resonated with that, regardless of whether they followed basketball or not.
Yeah, it's a powerful message, one that continues to inspire people even today.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Kobe's journey from Philly to the NBA, the championships, the rivalries, the triumphs, the tragedies, the cultural impact. It's a lot to process, wouldn't you say?
It's a testament to the man's complexity, his depth. He was more than just a basketball player, that's for sure. He was a force of nature, a cultural icon, a symbol of both our aspirations and our contradictions.
Yeah, he was a walking, talking paradox, a fierce competitor and a devoted father, a global icon and a flawed human being, a man who could inspire millions but still leave you wondering about his true nature.
I think that's what makes his story so enduring, you know? He challenges us to confront our own biases, our own assumptions about heroes and villains.
He forces us to look beyond the surface, to grapple with the complexity of the human experience.
And ultimately, to ask ourselves, what is legacy? Is it just about championships and accolades, or is it about something more profound, something that transcends the boundaries of sport and celebrity?
It's a question that lingers long after the final buzzer sounds, a question that continues to resonate with each new generation that discovers the legend of Kobe Bryant.
And with these statues, his legacy is literally set in stone.
Okay, so we've really dug deep into Kobe's life and legacy, but let's get back to these statues themselves for a minute. They're not just random bronze dudes standing around. I mean, they're full of symbolism, deeper meaning, all that crap. I want to unpack that a little.
Absolutely. I mean, starting with this latest one, the Kobe and Gianna statue, it's not just a monument to what they achieved, right? It's more about their bond, the love of the game they shared, and, well, the way it all ended.
Yeah, and that's what gets me every time, seeing them together like that, frozen in time. Beautiful but heartbreaking, a constant reminder of what we lost. But it also celebrates the love they had.
The choice to give them angel wings, that's powerful, man. It's like saying they transcended, you know?
Mhm.
Elevated to this mythical status because of the tragedy. People want to find meaning, a glimmer of hope in all the darkness.
It's like saying, even though they're gone, their spirits live on. But let's be real, those wings also make the statue more, well, more memorable. It's not just a dude with his kid on a bench. It's like a goddamn work of art.
You're right, there's definitely that visual element, but I think it goes deeper too. The wings show that people yearn for something beyond this world, that desire to believe there's more after we're gone. And Kobe's legacy kind of has that mythical feel, right? He's bigger than life, a symbol of pushing for excellence, never giving up, and going after what you want.
Yeah, it's like he's immortal, not just from what he did on the court, but how he lived, how he affected millions all over. And these statues, they're that immortality made real, a way to connect with the memory, keep his spirit alive.
And don't forget, they remind us that even legends, they're human too. Joy, sorrow, winning, losing, they felt it all. They screw up, learn, grow, and in the end, they leave behind this legacy that's both complex and inspiring.
Okay, so we got the angel wings, the father-daughter thing, the whole mythical status. What about the other statues? Solo Kobe and the one they're keeping under wraps. How do they fit in with all this symbolism?
Well, the solo Kobe, the one in his Lakers uniform, that's a more straightforward way of showing his dominance on the court, his athletic skill. It's like a tribute to the basketball god, the Black Mamba, that relentless competitor. He left it all out there.
You're saying this is Kobe in his prime, at his best, but it also feels a little cold. I don't know if you get what I mean. Like it's missing that emotional depth, that connection we see with the Kobe and Gianna one.
Yeah, you're right. It's a more traditional, kind of stoic way to show him. But I think they did that on purpose. It's about a different side of him, you know, the one that made him such a force on the court, a celebration of his skill, his dedication, that never-ending desire to win.
Okay, I can see that. But what about the third statue? The one they're being all secretive about. What do you think they're trying to say with that one?
That's the million-dollar question, right? We've already got the basketball god, the dedicated dad. What's left?
Maybe it'll be something at left field. Kobe the philosopher, deep in thought about life's big mysteries. Or Kobe the artist, paintbrush in hand, making a masterpiece. Or maybe.
Or maybe it'll be him with the basketball, looking determined as hell.
Probably right. But hey, a guy can dream, right?
Of course. And who knows, maybe they'll surprise us all. Show us a side of Kobe we ain't seen before. Some hidden talent, a passion we never knew about.
No, that would be something. But even if it's another basketball statue, it's still a powerful symbol, right? It'll remind us of his legacy, how much he mattered, and how he still inspires millions.
Exactly. And it'll show how strong storytelling is. How we use art, monuments to make meaning, cope with loss, and celebrate lives that touched us.
Okay, so we've talked about the statues, what they mean, the man, the myth, the cultural icon. One last thing before we wrap this up. The elephant in the room. That sexual assault case from back in '03.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but we can't ignore it when we're talking about Kobe's legacy.
It's a stain on his reputation, no matter how many championships he won, or how many statues they build for him.
It reminds us that even our heroes, they got flaws, you know? They can do terrible things.
So how do we deal with that part of his story, along with everything else? Do we just ignore it? Act like it never happened.
Nah, that ain't the answer. We gotta acknowledge it, face it head on, and understand how it changes how we see him.
But how do we do that without, I don't know, without minimizing what he achieved or saying what he did was okay? It's a tricky thing to balance.
It's about seeing the whole picture, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. It's about understanding that people are complicated, they can do great things and terrible things.
It's about realizing that even our heroes aren't perfect, that their stories are messy and full of contradictions.
And at the end of the day, it's about having honest conversations about this stuff, how we deal with the fact that our idols, they ain't perfect.
Okay, so we've talked about the statues, what they mean, the man behind the myth, the cultural impact, and that tough part of his story. This has been a heavy talk, but an important one.
Definitely. It's a conversation we need to have, especially as we try to figure out Kobe's legacy and how we remember him.
So what's the takeaway here? What should our listeners walk away with?
I think it's realizing Kobe was way more than just a basketball player. He was a complicated guy, a human being with flaws, a cultural force who left behind a legacy that's both inspiring and troubling.
It's about seeing that even our heroes have their demons, that their stories are often messy and full of contradictions.
And in the end, it's about asking ourselves what we value, what we choose to remember, and how we make peace with those conflicting parts of a person's life.
All right, I think that's a good place to end it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Kobe's world. It's been a hell of a ride, hasn't it? From the highs of all those championships to the lows of that tragedy, we've explored the man, the myth, the legend. And we've faced some tough questions about legacy, memory, and how we choose to remember those we call heroes.
We've seen how statues can be these powerful symbols, but also spark debate, how they can change how we understand the past and shape our view of those we look up to.
And we've learned that even the biggest icons, they're just human. They got flaws and contradictions, just like us.
So as you walk away from this deep dive, I hope you think about what you heard, the stories we tell, the legacies we build, and how we choose to remember those who left a real mark on the world.
And maybe, just maybe, you'll be inspired to leave your own mark, to create a legacy that's meaningful and lasts. Peace out.